Hello, all of my fabulous, beautiful people, and how are you all doing today? I hope that you are all doing very, 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 very well. Happy MLM Monday. So today for MLM Monday, I actually have something kind of special for us. I got Jamie back with us. Yes, I do. And we are going to be talking about DoTerra again. You can follow her page. She is DoTerra. I'll leave the link to it down below. And reacting to some DoTerra things. As you know, Jamie was in DoTerra. Again, at some point in the video, I will leave a link up above to the interview I did with her a couple weeks ago where she told her DoTerra story. And we're going to be reacting to some DoTerra things and just talking about more illegal medical claims, of course. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. We did it on Google Hangouts. This one is bugging me for part of it, so just don't mind that. You know, hashtag mom life. And let's just get into it.
That page is called Oil Facts?
Oh yeah, babe. You like that?
Oh yeah.
No.
So yeah, this page is called Oil Facts, and this page posts up apparent oil facts, but it is a complete DoTerra marketing page. Basically, they only post up DoTerra facts and DoTerra huns. And as you can see, one thing that they're very much about is oils that can be taken internally. So this is their oil facts section. And what they call themselves is AOF community. And what does AOF stand for? I got no clue. I don't know. No clue. They won't tell me.
Huh.
But it's basically a DoTerra marketing page. Like I said. So this is them asking everyone which their favorite herb essential oil is. And one of the things that they like to believe is that if it's a herb essential oil, it's automatically safe to be taking internally. And I just want to know what your thoughts are on that fact just alone. Like, because I do know that in our last video, one of the things that you brought up, which was a great point, was if they say it's all natural, that doesn't automatically equal safe. So I just kind of want to hear what your thoughts are about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a little tricky with this category because obviously you can eat these plants straight and you're going to be getting some essential oil content in the raw plant material, but to ingest them, to put them in your food, it's like the concentration is so high. And what I see again and again and again is the recommendation to gargle or swallow them without a carrier oil, without like a nut milk or some kind of carrier for it, because oil and water do not mix and it's going to burn your mucous membranes. And then the quantities, I don't know where they're getting, I just don't know where they're getting their quantities and their sort of prescription, if you will, for how much to take of these. I've been referring back to the Tisserand Institute quite a bit, and I need to actually go back to their website and look at more current information that they have about internal use, because in the clinical aromatherapy world, it's really not common to recommend internal use. That's not to say that it doesn't ever get used, but it's not just one of 3 ways to use them, like doTerra will always say. It's not like you can use them aromatically, topically, and internally. Like they're all the same, like they're all good. This is the other thing doTerra says that is really problematic, is just because they're certified pure therapeutic grade. And actually, I think it was on this doctor's call that I heard them say CPTG stood for tested grade, not therapeutic grade. So I don't know if they changed what the T means in that term.
Like,
but again,
test?
You
know what I mean? Like, they need to explain all that if they did change it, and they just won't.
Right, but just because it might be free from adulteration, that does not even address the safety issues with internally ingesting essential oils. They're not addressing the safety issues at all. They're just saying they're pure so you can ingest them. We don't recommend ingesting any other brand. Fine, whatever, that means nothing. You still have to address the safety issues and tell people how to do it safely, if there is even a safe way to do it, which I definitely, I mean, even when I was in doTerra, I would take their soft gels because they were like pre-formulated and double encapsulated. So I took them more as a supplement that way. I never made my own capsules. People do. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know.
I just feel like here they're saying, like, since it's a herb essential oil, then that should automatically mean that it's okay to take internally. And that doesn't equate to that. The same with it being all natural doesn't automatically mean safe. It being a herb doesn't mean you can now eat it.
No, I mean, and the quantity of essential oil that you're going to get from a raw herb compared to an essential oil is not the same at all.
No.
It's not the same at all. I mean, yeah, so it's apples and oranges, right? They're making a comparison that is not accurate.
So then they have another post, actually, and I just wanted to show you because here they do have an amount. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. So as you can see, it says what it takes to make a bottle, and they're showing it like in the background, and then they cover up a lot of the information with words, which I just love, by the way, when they do this. And it says about 1.2 kilograms of oregano to distill 15 milligrams of pure essential oil. Now,
yeah,
what does that mean to you?
So they're talking about how much raw plant material does it take to distill and produce the oil, because it's a similar, but the process can look different for different plants. The distillation time, pressure, like the technicalities of the distillation can look really different per plant.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it also takes sort of like a different amount of raw material to produce the oil per plant. Like rose and melissa oil take tons of material and have to be produced in a very delicate way, so they end up being more expensive, for example. So this is just basically saying it takes this much raw material to produce this much essential oil. That's all that's talking about. But something that doesn't often get talked about is, I mean, for one thing, herbalists will point out like, well, we can just actually use the plant in more kind of common everyday folk remedies that are accessible to anyone.
That's
right?
How
you
I
can
feel, honestly.
Grow oregano pretty easily.
I'm like, why can't you just use oregano and then whatever herb was in this essential oil? Like, I don't get it.
Right, because again, if essential oils are so potent, like, why do you need so much of it? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, you can just use the plant. It's not always necessary to come at something like so hard. Like an essential oil is extremely concentrated. You don't always need that. I guess what I was going to mention is just the issue of sustainability. You know, it's like if especially, you know, like the other folks that we covered are sort of using this plant medicine language. It's like, well, if you're going to have a relationship with the plant and call it sacred and this and that, it's like, well, grow it in your backyard and snip off a little bit to chop up in your marinara. Like, you don't need this. To me is just overconsumption.
Yep. To make
and
sales.
Overproduction, you know, with as much demand as these big MLM companies have created, it's a strain on natural resources.
You know, that's a good point. Like, technically, wouldn't this be bad for our environment, making all of this? So if you are someone that's all into natural, holistic medicine, you would think that then you would want to be nicer to our earth, I guess.
I mean, I think especially with plants like sandalwood and rosewood that can, and frankincense that are endangered or need to be treated in a really particular way. There are real issues with specific plants, but in general too, it's like this just plays into the whole model of overconsumption and the capitalist model of making money. Like, this is about you know, I mean, when you're in MLM, you're the consumer.
You're the main one too. I do feel like they depend mainly on their distributors to buy the products, more
absolutely.
So than, you know, the general public. So
absolutely,
that is part of the problem. But I just wanted to know, like, what you thought about this as being an oil fact. I feel like the stuff behind these little words they put on are probably more factual, and then they cover things up.
Well, I don't know why they have pure in quotation marks. Essential oil. Fine. Okay, fine. So you're showing us that it takes a lot of plant material to produce a bottle. You know, and then they'll also, this is just like where there's so much contradiction within this world is they'll say, you know, there's 250 drops per bottle approximately. A little goes a long way. And then on the other hand, all these recipes I've been bookmarking that I've seen for roller bottles are, you know, for a 10 ml roller bottle, some of these recipes are 40, 60, 80, 100 drops per 10 ml.
And that's a lot.
So they're going to, it's way off the charts for a normal, appropriate dilution ratio. I've posted the dilution ratios on my page to refer to, just to show, like, if you're going to make a blend, this is how many drops per, you know, 10 ml, ounce, etc., at different percentage ratios depending on the use. And so they're treating everything according to their recipes of 180, 100 drops per 10 mil as if it's an acute emergency.
Yeah.
That is not for daily use. Like, maybe if you know, maybe for certain things, very short-term use, but they're extreme. So they're going to say this bottle could last you 5 or 10 years, but then they're going to give you these recipes with extreme amounts. And no, you're going to go through it quickly.
Yeah, it is very mixed messages with that. I feel like it's confusing.
Super confusing.
Like, it must be really confusing when you're a distributor for them too. Because I'm sure that you're like half putting that together and you're kind of like, I thought this was supposed to last me a long time, but it's like, it's almost gone. What's going on? I found it interesting that they had the numbers on here. I mean, at least they are trying to give some advice, I guess, on the
I don't know what the point is. What does this fun fact say?
Can barely see it. It says the word oregano is actually deviant from the Greek. It's just where the word oregano came from. And I find like that's a lot of the information that they give, right? It's things like that where it was kind of like when we watched the witch hunts and they were like going on their stories and we were like, why are we over here now? That's like exactly what that fun fact is. It's like, okay, thanks. Could have made it something to do with the doTERRA oils if I was a hun for it. But, you know, you can give me the origins of the word oregano, I guess.
People are kind of just making it up. I mean, I used to have these books, Essential Oils and Emotions, and, you know, they'd say oregano is the oil of blah, blah, blah. I don't remember what it was. I gave all those books away. But, you know, they're just sort of intuitive. They're like, oh, I think it means this. And they're writing about it. It's like all intuitively based, which is fine, but it's not a fact.
Yeah, they need to say that that's what it is then. Like, if that's what you're doing, you can do that. But then you have to mention that it's not a fact. Like, this is how I feel about it, you know? Feelings don't trump facts.
Totally.
They're being a little cruel with the stupid, but I think they're saying what she's saying is stupid, not that she's stupid. I'm just throwing that out there.
Right.
But this is apparently a very problematic hun. As you can see, the page that we just reacted to is the one that posted this up as part of their community. So it's pretty short. It's only 48 seconds, but just hear what she has to say.
Having a candle, I mean, our essential oil is really going to work. And sure enough, I started to use an oil that immediately had a calming effect on me, and I was amazed. And so I thought, okay, I need to learn more about these oils, because if this works for my anxieties, what else could these work for? Could these work for my kids? Could it work for my husband? Could it keep us healthy? Could we avoid going to the doctor as often? And sure enough, we have had a very healthy 8 years. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I don't know about that. Maybe it's just in your head. Well, here's the cool thing. Over 60% of our medications that we use have synthetic forms of what you find in the essential oils. So basically, modern medicine sees what we have in our oils, and they make fake versions of it to put in their medicines because they see how effective essential oils are.
Well, again, she's starting with a disease claim, mentioning anxiety, saying, you know, trying to avoid the doctor. I don't like this binary, like it's all natural or all Western or whatever. Like, to me, holistic health is using all the tools that we have available from Western medicine and alternative care and natural medicine. And, you know, sure, there can be issues with synthetic forms of medicine, right? Like any over-the-counter thing, like you wouldn't want to abuse that. But that, again, it's like this argument that just because it's natural doesn't mean it's necessarily safe. The model of overuse is rampant. Mm-hmm. So it's not inherently safe.
And one thing that I found very interesting is that she seems to say that they aren't going to the hospital. They're using these oils and that they haven't been sick for a whole 8 years due to it, which just horrifies the crap out of me. Like, I am like, please do not tell people ever that they should avoid hospital and take anything and that they won't be sick. Like, that just of itself, I was like,
yeah. Well, it's that idea that it can replace your healthcare. Mm-hmm. It might be a small, like, supplemental adjunct, and that's fine.
Yep.
You know, there is good research about lavender for mood support.
Yeah.
There is good research for that. But as a replacement for your healthcare,
yeah, never.
Is really problematic. And the video that we watched the other night with these doctors, you know, and we did this on our team too. They were one of the, like, sales techniques was talking about how, like, you can either be spending money on copays or you can invest in your health and invest in these products. These are not cheap products. Like, you have to have some money already. You have to have a certain level of privilege already to be able to afford this stuff, and to just simply say that it can replace your copay. I mean, sure, like, there are probably a lot of everyday things that we don't need to go to the doctor for necessarily, but to, like, the way that it's talked about as a replacement for seeing a healthcare provider.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
Yeah, that drives me nuts. It really worries me. And it kind of hurts in a way that I'm like you said, holistic medicine can be an amazing aid along with Western medicine. Like, if you're using that to help you out, cool. Like, if I have a cold, I drink some honey and lemon tea. That's technically the same thing, and it's really great for congestion. But if I had bronchitis and then that's all I was doing, that would be dumb. But
Sure.
it's the same sort of thing. And I feel like when these Huns do these stupid speeches where they say, replace it, they're hurting the holistic medicine industry. Because then you have people that are like, no, holistic medicine bad even. To try to stop people from replacing Western medicine with it. And it's kind of it's not completely bad. I don't think we can say like holistic medicine, don't do it at all. But it's the kind of thing where, like you said, we have to be like, Western medicine too, please. And then if you want to also use that with it as an aid, or if there's mild things that this can help with that you're using it for, that's okay. But then again, don't say it's a medicine.
Right. Yeah, it's really tricky, and the way they promote it is just really inappropriate.
Like, it would be like me now making honey and lemon tea and handing it out and telling people that it will cure the common cold. like that's basically what they're doing with the essential oils, and it's not really fair to the holistic medicine community either, I feel like, because it paints them in the light that they are trying to replace Western medicine, when most of the people I know that appreciate that community and you are in that community, like, believe what you believe. That it's a great aid, it's a good thing to use, but that you also still kind of need Western medicine with it. Like, it's not a replacement.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, there's a balance, there's pros and cons to both models, and it's about appropriate use and when whichever route is most appropriate, and what I just heard in my time with doTerra was, sort of, Western medicine's great if you need surgery, but for everything else, we kind of got you covered. And it's like, no, that's really extreme.
Especially things like mental health. Like, things like that really worry me, because I do know that a lot of the health and wellness companies that I know of, like It Works even, has had supplements that they said should replace medications and things like that. And it's like, you can't be doing that. And then it also adds to the stigma of those medications, because those people are out here going, like, instead of being on those meds, you can take this essential oil. And I'm like, no, stop doing that. It's okay to be on those meds if people need to.
Right. There's this implied shame. There's this implied shame that if you're taking pharmaceuticals or even over-the-counter medicine, that you should feel bad for that. It's not good.
This one shows how manipulative they are in terms of, it's not only about essential oils. We've talked a lot about essential oils and how that affects you when you're in doTerra, and the selling of them and the lack of information and the false medical claims and all this kind of thing. But another thing that they like to do is they like to try to control, I feel like, your whole lifestyle and make you feel like they're going to be the answer to a lot of your emotional problems, the stresses in your life, etc. And I feel like this video kind of showcases that. And it's interesting because of who is speaking in it, done by the executive CEO, where he's promoting it. So it shows you that it's coming from the top. It is something that the company wants these Huns to do and wants them to manipulate people into believing this, because they are all about it. doTerra is the answer to everything, all problems, all the time, if you will. We have all felt broken. And this was from their doTerra Connection 2021, I guess. Is that a conference that they do?
Guessing it was the Connection. I don't know. It might have been convention, or it might have just been something else. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
I wonder if it's like it's called Evolve and doTerra Connection 2021. I wonder if last year they did like a Zoom presentation, if you will. Instead
I'm pretty
of
sure
like
I've seen
conference.
images. I'm pretty sure I've seen images of them doing conference or convention in person. So
yeah, like a bunch of them were still with the thing going on. They didn't care. So that wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, no, I was just like, yeah, why is
I
it
don't know.
called Connection? That's weird. Is it because everyone connected online, or
I don't
I
know.
don't know. But yeah, David Sterling, founding executive, CEO. They got his whole credentials there. Let's hear what he has to say about how we have all felt broken, and doTERRA is apparently going to fix that for us.
Terra has a particular way of helping, and maybe it seems at times even forcing people to become something greater and far greater even than they ever imagined. In order to do that, you have to leave behind your limiting thoughts and these perceptions, negative perceptions behind.
That one was very surprising to me because, like I said, it was David Sterling, and I found it very interesting how he brings up toxic positivity and how you cannot limit yourself, and like limit your thoughts, which to me is a very specific way of these MLM high up people telling you to ignore any red flags.
Yep.
To not tell yourself, like, because when a red flag comes up when you're in these things, because it does. I even remember my earliest days of It Works having things make me go, huh? That's a little weird. But then, again, all of that talk, like we just heard him, was all over It Works. So then you kind of convince yourself that thinking that way is you just limiting yourself. And you're thinking negative about the company. And you're really just stopping your success. So you should let go of any of those feelings of reservation that you have, any of those red flags that kind of pop up as you're going along, and just keep on trucking in the MLM.
Yeah, this makes me think of so many different things, actually. I mean, mindset training is a huge thing in MLM. It certainly was on my team.
Oh, yeah. I think they all are very much about personal development, which is, again, a fancy way of saying mindset training. Because that's really all personal development is.
Yeah, and when I first got involved, I was like, this is a great fit for me because I was trained as a coach, and I was like, I'm into personal development. I'm into
social service worker.
Yeah, so that didn't seem like a bad thing, but then it gets distorted, right? It gets distorted. I might have mentioned this on our other call we did a few weeks ago, but one of my very first training videos I was sent was all about belief, and it just really like made my head spin. I did not get it. It didn't seem relevant, and I was like, why the fuck am I being shown this thing about beliefs and mindset and belief? So yeah, something that our team talked about a lot was just sort of having permission to dream, right? So it wasn't just about selling or educating people about the benefits of essential oils, which is often done inappropriately. Like you can sell essential oils and talk about their benefits in an appropriate way.
Yeah.
But it's not just that, then it's the business opportunity. So to sort of like package all of that, it's about the ability to dream bigger, don't limit yourself. This kind of, which I think also kind of ties back into that overconsumption model.
And it's also all about law of attraction.
Yeah, it's all about growth. Like there's no ebb and flow. There's no cycle of rest and growth. It's just growth.
Which is funny because real personal development, by the way, as someone, I will bring up how I was a social service worker this one time, but one of my main jobs was to work with people with schizophrenia and severe bipolar. And one of the main things that we used to do with them was a lot of like personal development stuff. And kind of like getting better, learning how to be successful. But a big part of that was also teaching them self-care. things like resting and how to just even the simple things like bathing, we would have to help a lot of them with, and that kind of thing. Like that stuff was almost more important to us to get like their basic level of needs down with them doing just personal care stuff before we were even able to like do the other parts with them. So it always makes me laugh how these companies, they pretend like they're doing self-care sometimes, but like you just brought up, there is no rest in them.
Right. There is no rest.
So it's again that mixed signals.
So many mixed signals. I feel like this is connected in some way, and I'm probably not articulating it very well, but you know, one of the first couple of meetings that I went to, they do, you know, the first half was like product education. The second half was business focused, right? So they kind of split it up. I remember our leader, I mean, God, even just saying our leader, you know, it's like, take me to your lead. Like, it's just so weird. You know, she had everybody who was building the business, you know, sort of do this mantra of, I am diamond. Right? Like, so we're all kind of saying it, and like, you know, it's just.
Do you know what? We actually did the exact same thing in It Works. And it was also diamond. Diamond, for some reason, is like the MLM tier you always want to get to. And it's several of them. It's called diamond. I don't know why.
So,
it's all about
it's
the
so
diamond.
weird.
I remember doing the same thing, or a lot of that, like, instead of you just being on the rank you're on, you're supposed to think like you're on the next rank. So it was almost like faking it till you make it, all that kind of stuff. The law of attraction, like if you believe it, then it will come. All this kind of bullhooey, as I call it, where none of it really matters. Like there's some good about it. Like obviously having a more positive mindset is always better for your mental health and even your physical health and your well-being. But then, of course, they do like toxic positivity. So if you're teaching someone, for example, to have a positive mindset, you also have to simultaneously teach them to also be true to themselves and their emotions and to know how to speak up as well in a good way, maybe even a positive way if they have like an issue or a problem or a need that they have to voice, right? Whereas in the MLM, it's the exact opposite with their teaching of positivity. It's all about just kind of ignoring everything negative and just being positive all the time. Well, that's why it's toxic. Because having a positive mindset is great, but if you're using it to erase any kind of negative thought or anything, like sometimes you have to pay attention to those. Sometimes it's good to have, like you said, like there's some balance. And there's balance with everything. Yeah. And it's the same with this. Like, you want to pay attention to some negative emotions sometimes and sit with them for a minute and be like, why am I feeling this way? And figure it out. But they want you to just ignore it all. And it's not healthy. So they don't teach it the way that they should be teaching it for people to be successful. If that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's not a way for most people to be successful, but this idea of what he's talking about, moving past what was he talking about? You're moving past your limiting beliefs. It's all reinforced by all the other messaging around mindset. You know, I'm sure you heard this a million times. The magic is just outside your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
That idea, which also shuts down those warning signals that you have, where if you were actually listening to your own guidance, your own authority, your own
intuition,
then, there might be appropriate times to push that edge and get outside your comfort zone and take a risk.
Yeah, there is. And it's very healthy.
Constantly being told that is the only way to succeed. And, so you're constantly being pushed outside your comfort zone.
And that's actually bad.
Yeah, it's really
not,
bad. It's
not,
really bad.
unless you're somebody that like really, really gets off on putting yourself in stressful situations. Like always being on the edge like that, you know, like you would have to have that personality to be able to actually live that way and still stay healthy, which is kind of funny because to most of us, constantly being outside your comfort zone is not good. It actually has the opposite effect where it can start working against you. You're going to start to have more anxiety instead of just a healthy amount. There's such thing as a healthy amount of anxiety. Like, for example, if you're going to a job interview and you're a little bit anxious, that's normal. Everybody is. But if you're like hyperventilating and having like a panic attack, then maybe it would be time to think about getting on some medication to help that. Like that kind of thing, right?
Right. And in my experience, it's like, because I was indoctrinated to believe those things, I was under a lot of stress and I ignored a lot of my own better judgment along the way because you just keep getting told those things. The only way to fail is to quit. Those type of messages really shut you down. And it wasn't until I, you know, started to pull back a little bit and kind of got myself into some other communities that really helped me reconnect with my own voice and my own guidance, that
critical thinking again, because I felt like I started to not critically think as much as I once did, and I was like, I started to notice I was like losing that part about myself, and that's kind of a very big part of my personality. So I was like, I can't let go of this part. What's going on here?
Totally. Yeah, it's really problematic. And, you know, it's just that they create this insular world where, like you said, they have the answer for everything. And I know that was part of me coming out of it and leaving, was noticing how it really did become an all-consuming lifestyle. It already took up a lot of my life and was a big part of my lifestyle. But, you know, I was already kind of in that world. I wasn't in MLM, but I was in health and wellness. So it's kind of all melded together. Yeah, it was gradual, but then I could really see.
Yeah, all of a sudden, it's almost like you wake up to it one day and you'll just be standing there and then it almost hits you like, wait, why is this my entire life now all of a sudden? Like, I thought I was supposed to have more time with my family and more free time. And I just feel like it's the opposite of that. It does. It almost hits you out of nowhere.
Well, I mean, not only was I just treading water and doing all those ridiculous things like rearranging my team to try to rank up and all that BS, but I could see
keeps you busy so that you're not thinking. It's kind of like a distraction, all this busy work that they kind of put on you. Because a lot of the people I've talked to that had larger teams of 100 or more people have talked about how they have to move their teams all around to get rank. Like, all these companies make it seem like once you're there, you're just good and the money just flows in. But it's really not like that, because people quit, people drop out, parts of teams fall apart. And the person that's running the team is then running around, like you said, rearranging things, trying to get this person to go up higher and that person to do what they said they were going to do, and all this stressful stuff.
Well,
and it keeps you busy.
Well, that's just it, is I had other goals and I was using DoTerra as the vehicle to achieve my other goals, to finance the lifestyle that I actually wanted. Like, I wanted to live in the country. I wanted to grow aromatic plants. I wanted to have this little, it's very in vogue now and very common now, but a destination campground type of thing. Mm-hmm. That was something my husband and I wanted to do. And I thought DoTerra was going to be part of getting us there. And what I could see is that all the top leadership, their full-time job was team management. So that was not where I wanted to go. And I could just see that, just like you just said, it's like your team falls apart. You have to rebuild it. And that's what that's what I kept hearing was like,
And it's
oh,
really
you're
stressful.
just going to have to build more legs and more legs and more legs on your team. That's not why I'm here to begin with. And remembering your why doesn't necessarily translate to the day-to-day operations of what you're actually doing in MLM. So I might have been really passionate about healthcare and you know, more equal access to healthcare. But that's not what I was doing. I was jumping through all the hoops.
Because they do a very good job of manipulating you. And I feel like they're so general with their way of talking about how they're going to help people and their goals that they're good at manipulating anyone who has any kind of goal into believing that they're going to be the vehicle for it. It almost doesn't matter what your goal is. They'll all convince you that they are the ones that will get you there. You have to be with whatever MLM is pulling you in to do it. That's what you need. Without them, it'll be way harder. Join today. But once I was in It Works, they were like, well, do you know how you'll get there, though? Do you want to be really good? And what would really help you help people with things like addiction and mental health issues? Being a health and wellness coach with It Works. And of course, I talked myself into believing that that probably would be a good idea. Because I kind of joked about how I already had like the mental health part down because I had my social service worker, but I wasn't really all that experienced in actual like nutrition and health and that kind of stuff. So It Works was supposed to kind of fill that void for me, if you will. And fill in that whole other half of the missing piece so that I could then go and help everybody with everything that they would ever need was basically my plan, right? And of course, again, like you said, I didn't even have time to do anything on Facebook or anything other than do lives for It Works. Everything became about It Works and selling It Works. If I was doing a funny skit with my family, at the end of it, It Works. And it wasn't even about like entertaining and just having fun or raising awareness or doing advocacy for things anymore because it was all It Works. And like you, I kind of one day went, I feel like I'm not even online that much anymore unless I'm talking about my MLM. And even though they tell you to do personal posts, it's really personal posts about It Works. So it's like, you know, like I was like, I don't feel like I'm even reaching people anymore. And I almost lost my audience. And I had grown like, I didn't have like a huge audience, but I had like a good 1,000 people. You know, and I lost a bunch of them because they were like, this girl's selling It Works now. I'm out of here.
It's kind of hard to recover your identity pre-MLM. You know, I remember us talking about how like Facebook is kind of a triggering space now. I mean, I hardly ever want to go over to Facebook anymore because that's where I promoted the most. That's where I, you know,
Same.
Was adding, you know, going on to threads and commenting if somebody had any ailment or issue. I'm like, you know, doing the commenting about, you know, adding friends left and right. It's like, I'm sure more than half of my friends on there are just people I randomly added.
To sell them doTerra, which I'm sure they just loved us for, right? Like we're adding people to pitch them our MLM. You know how much people love that now, right? Like they just adore it. But I feel like that's really all they're all selling. They're all selling a dream that is unattainable.
Right. For most vast majority of people. Yeah.
I feel like it's even
totally
unattainable to anyone unless they're the CEO. Because even the high up Huns, if you look into it, a lot of them are not high up Huns that are making all the money off the MLM. They're making their money because then they run a training academy that they opened up on the side. Or it's actually their full-time job or their husband's money that's paying for everything and things like that. So a lot of that's fake. A lot of the high-ups in most of these companies are faking a lot of their success. So it really isn't even attainable to that small 1% that looks like they
Yeah, I
have
see
it.
that. I see that a lot too, where, you know, the higher up leaders will have rebranded themselves or have a training academy, or they're just a coach and they don't even talk about the oils necessarily, but still what they're doing is managing a team, but it's not branded that way, which is really weird to me.
Yeah, it's a
I
way for
know
them
that-
to trick people into doTERRA.
Yeah,
Like, I
totally.
was even told at It Works that if I sold to people like I was a health and wellness coach, it would be a lot better than if I sold to them as an It Works distributor. Because I could almost trick them into thinking that they were getting real advice from a health and wellness coach kind of thing, when really I was just showing them It Works, if you will. And that was one of the wake up points for me, because them telling me that was very odd. I was like, but that's not good.
Yeah, well,
Because
that's
I did
another.
still
I
have
think
a lot of my ethics. Thankfully, with my background being in social work, I was like, oh, there's certain things I can't really do, guys. So that's what kind of stopped me from, I think, going as hard as I probably would have if I didn't have that kind of background.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's a lot of mixed messaging there too, because, you know, you want the bar to be extremely low for anyone who wants to do it. So just simply following the doTERRA training sales model should be enough. But then again, you have to set yourself apart. So if you do have other skills, you should definitely brand in that way. So it's very, it's another mixed message situation, which makes it really hard to kind of pick a path with it. Because either way, it does, you know, either way, it's terrible.
Either way, it's bad. Anyway, Jamie, I think I'm going to let you go, my dear, because you do have an interview, and I'm sure you want to, like, take some time in between, because I know I would.
Well, it's so good to see you today.
Yeah, you too, my dear. Thank you so much for coming on. You're very well spoken, very intelligent, and you always give a great personal account of the situations, as well as what I think. Good girl. As well as what I think that some very important information that we need about essential oils out there and holistic medicine in order for people to use it properly. What are you doing, monkey? Don't touch, please.
Well, thanks, Beth. I just appreciate being able to talk with you about it, and happy you're doing the work that you're doing too.
All right, my dear. So I'll let you go. You have a fabulous day, and let me know how it goes with them.
Thank you. I will.
Alrighty. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
So, guys, I hope that you enjoyed me having Jamie on here again. I plan on having her on like every 2 or 3 weeks or so, where we're going to be talking about doTERRA, because I think we do need to talk about this a lot more. You know how I hate people eating essential oils and replacing Western medicine with holistic medicine, and I feel like this is a really good way to combat people doing that, is by talking about these essential oil companies along with the health and wellness ones like It Works, which I was a part of. So I feel like she and I have a good balance when we talk about those things together. I like it. So I hope that you guys like it too. Please do give the video a like. Subscribe if you are new here. I would love it if you joined our fabulously amazing members. All of the beautiful people do, and you don't want to be an ugly bitch from doTERRA who's drinking essential oils and doing illegal medical claims. I will see you guys very, very soon. And, have a fabulous, take care. And I will see you all very, very soon. And down below, please let me know what you think about doTERRA. I want to hear from you. Don't hold back. You never have to with me. Bye! How's that for outro?